In this video, we're going to paint some commonly overlooked weeds in the Pacific Northwest and turn them into vintage-looking pressed flower specimen cards. I'm going to kick it off with the purple dad nettle, which is a plant in the mint family that is native to Europe and Asia. They are technically edible and medicinal. And all these plants and flowers that I'm painting today, I'm just kind of doing off the cuff, which I don't normally do. And if you're interested in watercolor, if you see me painting a color on top of a previously laid color, it's because the layers have dried in between. Otherwise, it would just be bleeding all over the place, which you see me taking advantage of with the dead nettle. So my plan is to eventually cut these out and layer them inside of a clear window, which means that I'm going to be painting both sides of this dead nettle to have a front and a back to it. Another one I really like is tufted vetch. This is also native to Europe and Asia. It grows everywhere here. It's in the pea family. And I love this one because it grows like a spindly little vine in the side of the road. And it has these really cool opposite leaves, which is my favorite type of leaf. And it's very easy to paint because it's just a bunch of tiny little blossoms that kind of just meld into each other. I wanted this to be a collection of incredibly common plants that I see on a daily basis in the summer, I guess, but it's often overlooked. People don't really pay much attention to them. But they're always there decorating the world with color and making everything look pretty. And it annoyed me that I didn't know what their names were, so I decided to learn because they were such a lovely companion on my previous morning walks to work. This one, I assume the name must be French, but I like to just call it Herb Robert because I am very easily amused. And I see these an awful lot in forest pathways, and it's a type of geranium. It's also technically medicinal, but I really love this one because it has bright red stems and red veins in the buds. It's a plant that looks very candy striped, almost like it belongs in a carnival. The next one is chicory, which is in the Asteraceae family, is native to Europe again, and I don't see this one as frequently. I really love it though because it has such an unusual blue color to it, and some of them are technically edible. I usually only see this one on the side of the highway. The final one is wall lettuce, which is very easy to remember. I lost my footage of a wall lettuce, so here's the skeleton. Here's the leaf. Allegedly edible, but probably gross. Oh, what the heck, let's try it. You know what? It's actually not as gross as I thought. Also native to Europe and in the Asteraceae family. This one is fun because, again, it's everywhere, and it is called wall lettuce because it really does look like a wall lettuce, similar to a dandelion leaf. It grows out of the side of your walls on your building, out of stones, under my existing plants in the garden. It's extremely easy to ignore, but with a name like wall lettuce, how could you? It might be edible, but it's probably not that delicious. I did start by cutting little squares from a cereal box, but I changed my mind because the cardboard was a little bit too thick because I do want to sew these cards together, and I'll tell you why later. So I ended up sacrificing some cheap Pokemon cards from the dollar store because they were a bit thinner and they were already cut for me. Sorry. To get a kind of aged look, I'm using this paper that I made by Eco Printing, which is to wrap leaves in paper and then boil it with some iron and stuff. And I'm going to glue that paper to the front of my card. Here's a tip for using playing cards or trading cards. Make sure to sand the surface with sandpaper, otherwise it's just going to crackle and peel off. Sometimes for an extra aged look, I like to cover the edges with a little bit of walnut ink. Flipping it over and making the window, I'm using these two little pieces of acetate. And this is most likely going to be a projector sheet. There are lots of better choices for clear sheets, but this is just what I happen to have on hand. And the problem with acetate in particular is that nothing sticks to it, which is why I have to layer it like a little sandwich and try to tape it down just to keep it in place. For the back side, I'm going to cover it up with this lined paper. I'm cutting it a little sloppy here. I'm going to attach it with glue and it should stick to the tape just fine. In the meantime, I'm going to make my labels with some more watercolor to age the paper and give it darker edges. I'm going to do it while the paper is still wet so that it just soaks in and looks all wispy-like. Look at this mess. And these are artist trading cards, and if you don't know what an artist trading card is, it's a tiny little piece of art that anybody can make and anybody can trade. You don't have to be good, you don't have to be professional. It's meant to be a very inclusive activity as a way of enjoying a shared interest. I'm going to sew the two layers together, and that will make sure that my acetate doesn't shift. Even when I pre-poke the holes, it is still such pain to get the needle through this. I'm using this cutting board to push the needle through so that it doesn't hurt my hands so much. And because I'm sewing through tape, the needle's going to get really sticky. So it's just a really unpleasant activity, and I wouldn't want anyone to like have a bad time if you absolutely didn't have to. But I do love the addition of thread, and especially having this bright pop of red. It's one of my favorite things to do. And here are my cute little window flower specimen cards. They're covered with little tiny crumbs of glue. They look alright. And this video was filmed months ago, so stay tuned to see the cards that I received back from the trade.
Why does this feel so cool? It's like plastic on the back. How'd you do that? Also, you gotta sign your back so I know who you are. There we go. Wonderful landscape. Cool, spacey kind of feel. Pattern work. I love this piece of tape right here. The way it fades into I really love collage stuff.